Hi guys, welcome back to another episode of From the Heart. I'm your host, Chloe Trca, and in today's episode, we're talking about my 5 ways to manage your stress and your anxiety. I have personally been going through quite the week. Life has been testing me, but I think this is the first time that I've truly slowed down, processed my stress and my anxiety in a very mature, wise, faithful way. And it's been refreshing. It has helped allow me to navigate through my life still and not lose my mind like past Chloe would. And I was like, this would make a great episode because I know every single one of you listening probably has something stressful, probably has something making them anxious in their life right now. I think there's always a constant state of anxiety and stress in this world, unfortunately. But I think if we can learn to navigate those feelings, those emotions, and the situations, we're going to be, you know, just better off, And these are things that I definitely think I had to go through to learn this. And I think that's why everything is so intentional, everything's so purposeful. And that really is one of my points actually we'll get into. But first, I just want to thank you guys for listening. If you guys could give this a 5-star rating or 4-star rating, whatever the highest rating is, I would really appreciate that because that's what helps grow this platform or this podcast and allows me to bring on more guests and just continue to grow this because this is what I'm truly passionate about. Like, I don't make money off my podcast. I don't monetize off of this. I truly do this because I love it and I enjoy it and I love connecting with you guys through it. So anyway, like I said, these are going to be my 5 tips on navigating and managing stress and anxiety in our life. And I guess I'll give you guys a little backstory on what's been going on in my life because I feel like that could build the scene. I don't know if I've talked about it on this podcast. I get confused because I have the 2 podcasts. I have Heavenly Chats and then I have this one. And I talk about my life a lot. So I'm like, did I share this with you guys? I don't remember. But I've been in the market for a new car for like a while. I should have gotten a new car a year ago. And then I was like, you know what? I'll just run this one to the ground. Like I didn't sell it. Anyway, we are running it to the ground and it's hit the ground. So about a month ago, I had to get new rotors, calipers, brakes, all these things in my car. Started smoking. It was a hot mess. I had a friend in town. I'm like, this is such terrible timing. Like, what is going on? So I took it, spent like $2,000 on getting all of those replaced and fixed. And I was like, wow, okay, wake up. Cars are really expensive. And that was like my first encounter of like having a true problem. That car has honestly treated me really well up until now. And I was like, okay, I need to get rid of it. This is like the time. And I'm going to be honest, I put it off. That is a lesson in itself. Don't put off something that I think the Lord was kind of like giving me a red flag, being like, okay, it's time. Like, sell the car, get rid of it. Like, you need something new. Because not that I'm selling a crap car to somebody, like, I'll be selling this car to someone who's like a mechanic, can fix it and not spend like $8,000 at the mechanic shop fixing all these things. Like, they can just fix it themselves. So, and flip it. Maybe they'll make money on it. Who knows? Anyway, I'm like, I need to get rid of it because I don't want to get into that. I want a new car. I need a new car. But I won't lie. I've been like looking the past couple weeks. It has been a busy month though, you guys. Not to make excuses, but again, to like understanding that I think we're always going to be busy. We're always going to have a lot going on. But like when something's important and something's causing you stress and anxiety, you need to like hit it head on and just like knock it out and get it done with and put it behind you so you don't have to deal with it anymore and like clear up headspace. I wasn't doing that with this situation. Honestly, I was like, oh, my car's driving fine now. Like, whatever. Like, I don't want to spend all this money to buy a new car. I don't want to go through the stress of finding it and like finding and like selling my car. Like, it's a lot. It's a process. And it takes a lot of brain power and decision making. And so I really kind of was like, yeah, like I kind of know what I want. I've been looking around, test drove some cars. Like, I've been taking steps. I just haven't committed to like the whole bit yet. Anyway, this past couple days, there was a whole other problem with my car, and I was like, okay, I need to take it back in because I don't know if this is like safe to drive. And they quoted it for like so much money to fix, and I'm like, why? Why? And so anyway, I was like, okay, Lord, like I know I should have done this before. Like I'm creating my own anxieties. I'm creating my own stress. Like if I would have just handled this a month ago, like we'd be not in this position, but here we are. And old Chloe would have been like so overwhelmed, so stressed because like I said, like I have a lot going on in my life right now, like business wise. And I'm like, I just don't want to be dealing with this, but it's a result of my own actions and my own, delay. So I can't be mad at anyone but myself. Like I knew this was coming. So anyway, that's why recently I have come to find out like how to navigate anxiety and stress because there's other things too. Like it's there's a lot of variables within this decision that like create stress. And just I think adulting, and why I think you guys can relate to this so much, is because a lot of you listeners, like, I mean, no matter the age, no matter the demographic of you, like as we grow up, there's like more responsibilities, new responsibilities. And me being a 23-year-old, like I'm stepping into like my first experiences of a lot of these like adulting things, like going to the dealership and like looking at cars and figuring out like, my budget, and then how long I want this car, and like what the future looks like with this car, and the decisions that it affects buying this car. Like it's bigger than just me, and it's bigger than just the car. And I think a lot of times when we're making decisions, we get really, really emotional and we don't think logically. And again, that's going to be a point in a minute, but I instantly reacted emotionally to this. I'm like, I hate my car. I want to get rid of it. I'm stressed out. Like, I hate cars. I don't even want one anymore. Like, I'm over this. And then my emotions were also kicking in, being like, oh, I want this. I want like the Mercedes GLE 53 brand new. Those are like $90,000. That is not a responsible decision for me. Some people at 23, that probably is like, whatever. But like, that's not where I should be spending my money right now. Like, I want to be investing my money in a Laura, and I want to be investing my money in my own business, and maybe buying a house in the future, and like saving for kids. Like, there's a big, big, big monumental steps that I have like quickly approaching, and not quickly, but like sooner than I think. And I had to take a step back and be like, whoa, like my ego and my pride and my wants are way, way outshining like my needs. And I was like, okay, all of this anxiety is getting stirred up because I'm leaning into what I want rather than what I need. And again, with my faith being like the forefront of every decision I make, I've prayed about this a lot. I went to the Lord about this, and he really revealed like all of this to me. And it was just like so crazy, because I took a moment and I was like, you know what? I want the Mercedes out of ego. And I was like, I was so specific on like wanting like the Audi or Audi, whatever, however you say it, Q8, because that's like the nicest package. I'm like, I want a nice car, I want an upgrade, because right now I drive a Range Rover Evoque, which is like, honestly, it's like the lowest version of a Range Rover you can buy. It's like the beginner basic, probably the cheapest one. I loved her. She did me great. Like, she was so cute, and it was perfect for that season of my life. Like I said, cars just, you age out of them. Okay. Not like my physical age, but like the thing is just like, it has a lot of miles on it. She's coming to the end of the road. So anyway, I was like, okay, like I wanted an upgrade because I think it's like fun to progress into, like always upgrading a little bit. Again, though, I was like so scared to downgrade. I'm like, I can't downgrade. Like, I want to get a Range Rover Bel Air. And then I was like, I want this Mercedes. And then I was like, wait, why don't I look at like an Audi? Which again, all of these are like luxury fancy cars. And I'm still like having this, I'm being honest with you guys. Like, I'm having this battle of being like, I want the luxury. I want this. I want this. And I'm like, why do I want this? And then I really sat back with myself and had to check, and I had to like analyze the thoughts and the like why I'm having these emotions in the first place. Being like, why is it such a big deal for me to like desire the highest package of the Audi when I could get a Q5, I could get a Q3? Like, why not? And I'm not going to go into too much detail, but I'm pretty sure I settled on the Audi Q5, and I'm actually very excited. It's the cutest little thing. It's like the sports edition, but it's like in my price range that I feel comfortable, and it makes sense, and it's what I wanted to spend, because again, like I want a car I'm excited about. And I was talking to my dad about this. I was like, this is my first big purchase, and like if I'm gonna be spending a lot of money, I don't want to be resenting it, because there's a fine line between like, you're gonna spend all this money, and if I'm getting into a car I don't love, I'm gonna be like honestly like upset about it. And I'm like, I want to avoid that, because I'm like making the logical decision of being like, I know how I'm gonna act. And so I'm like avoiding that. And I'm like, I want a car that I'm going to love, because I am spending a lot of money on it. This is my hard-earned money. Like, I have the money to buy myself a car that I love. But I was like, I'm putting aside a lot of my ego and a lot of my pride of like, I could buy these nice cars, but I'm like, I don't freaking need it. Like, I had to take myself back and be like, okay, I can have that car in a few years. I can have that car in 2, 5, 6, 10 years, whatever it may be. Like, but right now, is that really what's important? Like, is that what outweighs? And for me, I was like, you know what I really want after going through all these car issues is a reliable car. I want to get in my car and not have to worry about driving it all the way to California if I want, or taking it on a road trip and not having any issues. I don't want to be in the car mechanic shop once a month or even at all. Like, I want to avoid that. I know like there's the unavoidable, like life happens, cars happen, like there's bound to be an issue at some point. Like, you're going to need new tires, you have to do services, like stuff happens. But I'm like, I want to avoid that as much as possible. And that to me was like my highest priority. And like breaking all this down to myself like made sense. Like it took a lot of the stress out of the decision because I was removing my emotions. I was removing my pride and being like, okay, let's think logically. How am I going to react? How am I going to feel? Where's the budget? What's realistic? And what will get me to where I want to go? And I was like, buying this Mercedes, I'm going to get in it and it's only going to fuel my ego. It's only going to fuel my pride. And then what does that give me to work up to in the future? What's that going to drive? What motive am I going to have to like work up to that, get that car? I'm like, once you like get something nice, it's like you almost get comfortable and you get satisfied and it kind of like dims the fire, it dims the like urgency of like hard work and motivation. And I was like, you know what? Like if I humble myself and I get a car, and again, like this probably sounds bad, but like I'm very grateful that I can like buy myself an Audi Q5. Like that's beautiful. It's used. It's not brand new off the lot. Like it's a reasonable price, but it's like, it's just so funny how our minds and our egos and our pride can get in the way. And I was like, I want a reliable car and I can get this car. It has like pretty low miles. It's a decent price. Like it's trustworthy. There's a warranty. So it's like if something happens, it's on warranty, which is a beautiful thing. And so I'm like outweighing like what I need. And I'm like, right now in the position that I'm in my life, like I need the security of this car that I'm not going to be in the shop all the time because I want to be pouring my money into my businesses. I want to be pouring my money into my future family. Like I don't want to be pouring my money into a car that's fueling my ego. Like once I have that car, what's it doing for me? Nothing. Except for the fact that it gets me from point A to point B and I'm not going to be upset that I spent all this money on a car that I don't like. So that's what I came down to. And that's what it boiled down to. Again, you don't have to agree with my decision. You don't have to like see eye to eye on like why I'm making the decision that I'm making. But to me, it's like I came to terms with it. I came to peace with it. And the reason and the way that I did that was because, like I said, I removed the emotion. I slowed down. I stepped back. I went to the Lord. I was like, Lord, humble me, speak to me, like give me insight on this decision because I'm stressed. And I knew like they always like, it's in the Bible, like cast all of your anxieties on the Lord. And I did that and he will carry them and get you through. And I was like, this is something like I'm overwhelmed. My parents are all the way in Iowa. Like this is my money, my choice, my car. Like I'm not married. Like this is a very independent decision, but it's scary because I wanted to rely on someone. I wanted someone to tell me what to do. I'm like, Mom, Dad, like, do I buy this car? Like, Kyler, what do I do? And like, they've been helping me. They've been giving me insight and resources, but ultimately they're like, Chloe, this is your money, your car. Like you make the decision. You're an adult. And I was like, but then I'm like, wait, I have the Lord to lean on. And I had to like humble myself and I had to be still and I had to pray and like ask him for guidance. And he pretty much revealed to me all those things I just shared with you of being like, humble yourself. Like, what are you actually needing and wanting? And what is this going to provide for you? And so all that to say, that's where I'm at. But now we're going to get into like the 5 tips that can help you guys. But I hope that can like maybe plant a seed in one of your guys' minds of a decision you're trying to make of being like, do I need this nice car? Do I need this nice apartment? Like, don't get me wrong. I have like great things, but it's in a way like adulting. It's easy. Like I could have a nicer apartment even. I could be spending even more money, but like I don't want to do that because it's like where I'm at, I am like secure and I am confident. I'm not stressed about fighting. Like some people spend beyond their means and it's so easy to do that. I'm getting like, I don't know if I should be talking about all this kind of stuff to you guys, but like, I just think we can so easily begin to spend up like above our means. And we are just a very like purchase society with the way social media is. TikTok shop, like you can boom, click, order something. You're spending money so quickly. And it's scary because I think this last year, like being in a more expensive city and my expenses are increasing and all of this stuff, I'm like, holy smokes, like you can blow through money so quickly. And I think I'm finally being like, okay, what's actually worth it? Like you remove the emotion from money and it makes purchasing much easier as well. And again, that's a lesson I've had to learn too. Like I've had to just experience this. Maybe you guys aren't clicking, this isn't clicking and not making sense to you guys, but like, I think there'll be a time in your life where you walk through a decision and you're faced to make like a decision in your life and you really will like realize that. Or maybe all of you guys know this and I'm behind. I don't know. But like, I'm just a 23-year-old girl trying to figure it out, as you guys know on this episode, on this podcast. That's what I talk about all the time. But anyway, I just want to be at a point, like what's priority to me is to be in a point where I'm comfortable and secure and I don't have to stress about like living paycheck to paycheck. And because I want the nice things, like it's increasing stress. Like, no, I'm going to humble myself and I'm going to live like what makes me feel excited and comfortable. And like, I want to obviously like treat myself to something nice. Like where I live, my home, it is beautiful. It is nice. But like that's a priority to me. Like that outweighs even the car. Like I spent a lot of time in my apartment, and like I had to heavily weigh on like the decision of where I lived because I work from home, I live alone, I like all the way across the country, like this is a new place. I'm like, I know how I will react. Like, and I just wanted to be like the best version of myself. And I know if I'm like in an environment that I do truly love, like I will show up better. And I have seen like all the windows in here, all the natural light in my apartment, like it fuels me. It makes me better. It puts me in a better mood, like actually. And the fact that I have a second bedroom, that was like a big decision. But I'm like, I want the ability to like have people come stay with me. And I want to like have a place to like share and bless others with when they come travel and they come visit, and provides a place for my family when they're here. And I'm like, I wanted to be able to do that. That was worth it to me. But again, like my car, I can drive around the same amount of people, whether it's in my Mercedes or my Audi or whatever car it is, you know? Um, anyway, that wasn't really even about anxiety. That was like money talk. Sorry, but that's where all my anxiety's been at. And I'm just being real. And we're just unloading on you guys today. But I want to talk about, again, the 5 ways that I navigate anxiety and stress because I had to do that this week. I had to really learn. And I was like, okay, instead of letting myself get super overwhelmed about making all these decisions, I realized, number 1, that avoiding your anxiety is letting it win. So me avoiding selling my car was letting the anxiety win because I was pushing it off, but it was still taking up headspace. It was still increasing my like fight or flight. It was still adding to my overall like chronic stress. Okay. It wasn't doing me any good because it was still on the back burner and I still knew I needed to do it. And like every extra second I had, I was like, oh, I should be scrolling Facebook Marketplace for a car. Like I should be test driving. I should be doing all these things. If I would have just handled it, I would have like avoided a lot of that. And a lot of the times when we are avoiding our stress or our anxiety, I got this in Mel Robbins' book and it was really good. And she said it's when we're doing that, we're often finding a coping mechanism. So to like avoid all of this stress, you'll find yourself scrolling on social media, or you'll find yourself like, I don't know how you cope. For me, I like to just like black out my thoughts and I scroll on social media because I don't want to like hear myself think, and it like drowns out my own voice. But that's harmful for me because it also drowns out the Lord's voice and he can help guide me. And I needed that guidance. But by avoiding it, I was using other things to like fill that time to like not have to scroll and not have to make a decision on the car. Okay. And the only ultimately the only way to deal with your anxiety is to face it head on. Okay. Again, Mel Robbins said this and I was like, wow, like she's so true, because when you face it head on, you're forcing yourself to realize that you aren't too weak to do it. Okay. You will get through it when you face it head on. It's scary. You're not wanting to do it because you think you're too weak. But once you do it and you go through it, you realize how strong you really are. And I'm like, wow, like how, like if you really boil it down and think about it, it's like, how else do I face something like a fear? How else do I face an anxiety? You take action. Okay. You face it head on, you get through it. And again, too, it's like when I'm doing things, I'm never alone. Like I have the Lord, which is such a blessing, and it helps because he's like right by your side. And it's like, okay, I'm not going to crash and burn. Like he's going to help lift me up and it's going to be okay. So that's number 1, is not avoiding your anxiety. You got to face it head on. And number 2 is to learn to separate your emotions. Like I said, in the car purchasing decision that I was trying to make, my emotions were getting in the way. My anxiety of like, am I making the right decision? Is my car actually going to break down? And then it like really freaked me out because I'm like, oh my gosh, like I was creating so much more anxiety because I was letting my emotions get in the way instead of just logically breaking it down and being like, this is the budget I wanted to spend. This is the type of car I want. This is this is what's important. This is like, it's a pros and cons list a lot of the times. And when you look at it, it's very black and white. That's kind of why I love the Bible personally, because it's like black and white in scripture. Like you should do this, you shouldn't do this. Like follow the Bible. There's no like excuses. There's no ifs, ands, or buts. There's no gray area. It's like this and this. So in making decisions, when you're thinking logically, you put your emotions aside, you put your wants aside, you put your pride aside. And that's hard. That's hard. I still probably have a lot of that intermingled in this, but a lot less than I would have previously. Okay. But it's like when you look at things like data, like analytically, logistically, like price point, mileage, like what's your number 1 priority? And mine was reliability. Mine was reliability. And it was like, okay, well, maybe I'm going to spend a little bit more money to have something reliable, or I'm going to have to downgrade the version of the car that I want, to have it more reliable at the price point I want. And so it helps you move through the parts and find the right fit, because again, everyone's situation is going to be completely different. And again, my situation could be completely different in a year, in 2 years, in 5 years, in 10 years. It was completely different 5 years ago. So like thinking things logically, like emotions are fleeting. And that is one of the biggest things I've learned this year, is that your emotions can often get in the way, and they can disguise you, and they can blind you from the situation at hand and what you need to actually do. So like learning to get a grip on your emotions and being emotionally intelligent and emotionally wise and being able to communicate effectively through your emotions is really important. Like even internally, like sometimes I think I even avoided my emotions internally with myself. Like it wasn't a conversation with someone else talking about my emotions, which that's a whole nother story for a whole nother day. I couldn't do that either. But I'm getting a grip now on being real with my own emotions, because I think the second I felt like a negative emotion, I stuffed it down and I avoided it because I didn't want to like deal with it. Again, that brings us back to number one. It's like I put it on the back burner and it created more anxiety and it stirred up more emotions and it caused more damage than if I would have just brought the emotion up, uncovered it, dealt with it, moved on. So think logically, don't think emotionally. And as females, I think most of you listeners are females. We're most likely to do this too. We're more emotional human beings than males are. So too, if you're like struggling with this, like find a male in your life and be like, help me, like help me remove the emotion, like help me think critically and logically about this. My boyfriend Kyler has been a huge help in this because he thinks very logically. He's like, Chloe, like break it down, da 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 da. And I'm like, okay. And it was like good, but I was like, dang, like he's right. He's right. So you can like outsource help as well, and like wisdom from other people. I made a lot of phone calls. Let's just say I've had a lot of phone calls with a lot of family members and a lot of friends about what cars to get. But it's been helpful. It's been very, very helpful. I think like word of mouth is the best way to market and advertise something. And I trust everyone. And like, yeah, it's been helpful. Anyway, number 3 is to understand most of everything is out of our control. Okay, this is going to bring me to a story, and this is actually crazy. But I'm like a little bit of a control freak when it comes to like my schedule, my days, my routines. Like I love a routine. I don't like to veer off of it, as you guys know. And I'm sure a lot of you guys are similar to this. And so I don't know if you guys do this, but every like Sunday, I'll like get in my notes app. Honestly, I need to get like a better planner or like an app that organizes my day. But right now it's literally in my notes app on my iPhone. But I write down like Monday through Sunday, and I go through and I write down all my meetings. I write down all my work. I write down everything I'm going to film the day of. And then I write down what I'm going to edit the like footage and what I'm going to post. So every day I have what I'm going to post, and it helps me stay organized. And then I have what workout I'm going to do. So I know I am going to get all my workouts in. It's like an insurance thing for me. It's like a security thing of being like, all right, going into the week, I have all of these things to do. But if I can plug them into the days and make it work, I'm like stress free. Okay. And it works. I do this and I will continue to do this. But okay, I organized it all and I was like, you know what? This is good. I feel good going into the week. Sound like secure. It's going to be a great week. And then I was in the shower, like all of a sudden it pops in my head. I'm like scrubbing my hair. And I was like, huh, my God was literally talking to me. And he was like, it's funny. You feel so secure and you're so confident because you think you're in control of your week. And I was like, oh Lord, like literally, oh Lord. And I just had a feeling. I was like, I have a feeling this week isn't going to go to plan because I think I can control it. I think it's in my hands. Ultimately, it's in the Lord's hands. It's not in my hands. And so I was like, okay, all right, well, I'm going to accept that. Like, that's a word. But I was like, let's go into the week and just I'm going to follow as planned and see how it goes. Wake up on Monday morning and it's like 5 a.m. I was like, we're going to start the week off strong. I have a lot to do. Had to knock both my workouts out because last night I had my city group where we served the homeless. Then I was getting dinner with Kyler and some friends. And I was like, I'm not going to have time to do a workout then. So like, let's get them both out in the morning. So I got up at 5 a.m., driving to the gym at 6:30. And I'm like, that's when I noticed my car was having an issue. And I was like, and I've been avoiding it. This issue isn't new. But all of a sudden, it was just really stirring up in me. And I was like, I feel like I need to take this in. Call my dad, start calling everyone. Whole day's shifted, okay? Do we still get everything done? We did. But do we have a 2-hour detour to get to the mechanic shop and then find out I have like a $2,000 issue? Yeah, I did. So I was like, okay, like, thanks, God. And now the car is still at the mechanic shop. I got to pick it up today, actually. But again, that like readjusted my schedule for today. And now I can't really drive my car. I got to like limit the miles that I put on it and limit the driving because I probably shouldn't be driving it that much. Oh, Sorry, that's for my meeting that I have in a little bit, reminder. But anyway, it's just funny because I'm like, now I don't have a car for probably like 2 weeks because the car I think I'm going to get is possibly in Oregon. And I'm going there not this coming weekend. It's Tuesday. And I'm going there like not this coming weekend, but the following. Anyway, so I'm probably going to be carless for like a week and a half. And so I'm like, well, that really just stirs up the whole week, doesn't it? When you don't have access to a car that you rely on. It's just so funny. We take things for granted, like a car. It's like, oh, you just assume it's going to turn on when you hop in and you're going to get from point A to point B. But God's like, nope, I'm going to humble you. I'm going to make you really, really appreciate this car when you get it because you're not going to have a car for a week and a half. And you're really going to appreciate like everything about it. Okay. So that's where we're at. That's where we're at. And ultimately I was like, yep, God's in control. But again, it's so funny because it's like, that doesn't create more anxiety in my life. That actually creates more peace because like when all this happened, I'm like, you know what? I have two choices here. I can get really stressed out, really worked up because my week isn't as I planned. Am I going to get everything done? Am I going to make it work? Or I was like, you know what? That's in God's hands. I trust his plan. I trust his path. I'm going to be obedient to where he calls me, where he leads me. I'm going to be still and listen to him. And I'm just going to do the things I have to do. Like, I'm not going to avoid it. I'm going to face it head on. Like, I didn't want to take my car to the mechanic shop. Didn't want to make the decision on getting it fixed or not. But I was like, I have to. Like, back's against the wall right now. Like, make the decision. And now we're going forward. And life is evolving. And we're moving through it. And we're getting through the mud. And it's like, I'm not stressed. I've actually had a great day. Like, I feel fine. Like, I have all these things going on. But it's forced me to, like, make these decisions. It's forced me to come to terms with it. Actually think about it critically. Not avoid it. And it just gives me peace because it's like all of this craziness is going on, yet I'm still functioning. I'm still living. It's actually been cool because I've been able to find like, you really find out who your good friends are when you're going through something. It's like my friend's such an angel and she's like driven me back and forth to the mechanic shop yesterday. And she's going to take me today. She's taking me to the gym. She's like, if you need anything, like to go to the grocery store or whatever, like let me know. Like she was down the road from me. And I'm like, thank you. And like Kyler's been a great help. My parents, like everyone like comes in and helps. And it's a good thing. Anyway, and moving on to number 4 is view our struggles as an opportunity, okay? And you can also view others' struggles as an opportunity. This is also in the Mel Robbins Let Them book. And she was actually referring a lot to like other people's problems. We try to like fix people's problems, but it's like instead of using their issues, something that they're going through as like an opportunity to like step in and save the day, it's like use it as an opportunity to support them, to go in and give them support when needed, not advice. And that's honestly like what everyone in my life has been doing with this car situation. It's like no one's being like, buy this car, buy this one, do this, sell the car, don't sell the car. It's like they're giving me support. They're giving me their wisdom, their knowledge, their experiences. They're picking up the phone when I call them for a question, but they're not like forcing me into anything. And it's been really good because it's forced me to grow and it's forced me to want to grow. Because if they were making the decisions for me, well, what would I be learning? Like, where would I be growing? Like, I wouldn't be. I'd be in the same place as I was a year ago when I didn't make these decisions for myself, you know? So it's like when you're going through something, view it as an opportunity to grow and to learn. And if someone else is, view it as an opportunity to support them. But for me, it's like all of these things that are causing anxiety and causing stress, I'm like, it's because it's different and it's because it's making me uncomfortable and it's because it's something I haven't walked through. It's an unknown. That's why we get anxious is because we don't know the outcome. It's like, what if? What if? What if? Like, what if I make the wrong decision? What if this is the wrong car? What if this car has problems? Like, what if I spend too much money? What if there's a better deal? But you just have to remove that and take a step. And like I said, view it analytically, come to terms with it, and feel confident in your decision. Like, weigh your pros and cons. Even like dating a guy. You're trying to figure out if you want to date a guy. I always like refer to this, but it's like write a list of things that are like a non-negotiable. And then you meet someone and it's like, is he the right one? Is he the right one? But it's like, look at your list, think about it logically, remove your emotions, remove your wants. Like, oh, I'm lonely. I want a boyfriend. Like, what do you need right now? Like, I don't think women ever like, well, I don't know. I'm not getting into that. But it's like, what do you need from a significant other? Because we have needs. Women have needs, men have needs. There's things that we need. And it's like, is he fulfilling the needs? Okay, can he do that? Maybe sometimes you gotta like take it for a little test drive, like test the car, like drive it around, see if it functions the way you want it to. That's the point of the dating season. It's like a test drive. You like see if you guys are gonna fit. Like some people are like, you know when you know, and you know right away. Some people are like, love at first sight. Or sometimes you gotta take the car out. Like, I see this car, I'm like, it looks great. I'm like preaching out here right now. I feel I'm gonna roll. Anyway. Anyway. But it's like dating and test driving these cars. It's like, I think they taught me the same thing this year. But it's like, you have to figure out your needs. You can express your wants. But again, if it doesn't have what you want, are you okay with not having the want because it has all of everything else that you need? Like, maybe your want is a little out of touch. Maybe your want is a little excessive. Maybe what you want, you can get later down the road. So anyway, I don't even know. It has nothing to do with anxiety, but I feel like that could be a word for one of you guys. I crack myself up. I'm glad you guys come back listening every week. It's just great. But again, it's like everything that's new is going to cause anxiety because there's a stress and there's a worry and there's a what if. Okay. But when you do all these things that I've been telling you guys, it gives you a lot more confidence and a lot more peace with your decision. But that brings me to number 5, the last one. And the number one thing that's going to help with your anxiety and your stress, at least for my case, and I know not all of you guys are Christians, but it is going to the Lord, okay? You can have confidence in Him. You can cast all your anxieties on Him, like all of your worries, like He will guide you through, and you need to be still and you need to speak to Him and you need to trust in Him because ultimately, whatever you're going through, whatever's stirring up anxiety, whatever's stirring up stress, we can resolve it. It can be resolved, but it's the matter of like how you go about resolving it. And if you avoid it, not going to happen. If you act emotionally, not going to happen. If we're not finding the good and we're just going in with like a victim, poor me mindset, not going to happen. Like those aren't doing you any good. But like going to the Lord and like asking Him to reveal these things, like, guys, this is how I've gotten through this car decision. I know it's such a superficial situation and it's really not that big of a deal and it's not that deep, but like this can like mirror a lot of situations in your guys' lives. Like I said, relationships, a job. I don't know. There's a lot. I mean, there's anything, but it's like trusting in His plan ultimately gives you the like most sound peace ever. And that's how I made the decision to move to Arizona from Iowa. I felt peace from the Lord and I went to Him and I relied on Him because again, that was a decision I had to make on my own. Like my parents were like, you have our blessing. Like if you want to go, sure. But like, do we want you to go? No. Like obviously they don't want 2 of their 3 kids moving so many thousands of miles away from them. And it's like, I had to make the decision on my own and it was so scary, but like the growth that I've seen from doing that, oh my goodness. And like everything you're walking through is preparing you for the next chapter because life's going to happen. Things happen. They're bound to happen. It's like with my car, it's going to probably have an issue eventually at some point, but it's like, all right, I thought logistically about it. I want the warranty. Like I want that. I'm going to be smart about it. So it's paving the way and it's preparing you for what's to come because God's not going to put you through anything He can't get you through. But you have to be willing to go to Him for Him to get you through it. You know, like if you don't go to someone to help, how are they going to help? So that's the episode this week, friends. That's all I got. That's like a trauma dump. Not really drama, I'm kidding. But like that's what I've been going through. And it's crazy just because it's like a long time coming. Like if you would have asked me a month ago, I would not have had this perspective. I would have not made the decisions. I probably would have had a different car. I don't even have these cars yet. So like, I'll keep you all updated on what I end up getting. But it's just so funny. Like life's so funny. And I just don't want you guys to be stressed and anxious because I've been there. I mean, we get like that. I'm not saying I'm never stressed and I'm never anxious, but I'm able to like, once I like feel those emotions and I feel those feelings, I'm able to like navigate them and handle them better. And ultimately that's like what's going to get you through it and get you through the other side. So I hope this helped. I really, really, truly do. And again, I hope this doesn't come off in like the wrong way that I'm like complaining about a car or I don't like a certain car. Like this is me just being real and this is a situation at hand and I love being raw and authentic. And this is like what's going on. So, again, I say all this just in hopes that I can help you guys, guide you through a decision, give you guys better understanding on how to handle your anxiety and stress. But it's all out of love and I love you guys so much and I will see you in the next episode. Bye guys.